There's one question that will instantly expose whether you're actually living or just going through the motions. One question that cuts through every excuse, every rationalization, every comfortable lie you tell yourself about why tomorrow will be different. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, asked himself this question every single morning. Music. Not because he was morbid, not because he was depressed, but because he understood something most people never figure out. Without this question, life becomes a slow drift toward regret. And here's what terrifies me when I look around. Almost nobody is asking it. They're busy, they're productive, they have plans and goals and schedules, but they're not actually living. They're postponing, preparing, waiting for some imaginary moment when the music real life begins. That moment doesn't exist. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact question Marcus Aurelius used to avoid wasting music. His life. More importantly, I'm going to show you how to answer it honestly. Music, which is harder and more uncomfortable than you think. Because if you can't answer this question the right way, you're wasting your life right now. Today, this very moment. Let's find out. Before I tell you the question, you need why we avoid the truth. The system of distraction to understand why most people never ask it. We're conditioned to avoid confronting life's fundamental realities. Death, meaning time. Music. These topics make people uncomfortable. So we create elaborate systems of distraction, work, entertainment, social media, endless consumption, anything to avoid sitting with the basic question, what am I actually doing with the limited time I have? The Stoics didn't have that luxury, or rather, they didn't grant themselves that luxury. Seneca was blunt about it. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long. Enough and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. Read that again. Life is long enough. Your problem isn't lack of time. It's lack of intention about how you're using it. Epictetus went even harder. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? Not tomorrow, not next year, not when circumstances are perfect. Now today, this moment. The question I'm about to share forces you to confront whether you're demanding the best for yourself or settling for comfort, distraction, and slow decay disguised as responsibility. Most people can't handle this confrontation. They'll read this, feel uncomfortable, then immediately return to their distractions. Don't be most people. Stay with me. Let's do this. Here it is. The question Marcus Aurelius asked himself every morning. The question, Marcus Aurelius and the lens of mortality, music. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Simple, devastating, impossible to your way around. He didn't ask it once and move on. He asked it daily, sometimes multiple times per day. It was his anchor, his reality check, his detector for everything he was doing, saying, thinking. Music. Because here's what happens when you truly internalize this question. All the nonsense falls away immediately. The petty arguments you're having irrelevant when you could leave life right now. The grudges you're holding, absurd when you could leave life right now. The dreams you're postponing, urgent when you could leave life right now. The person you're pretending to be instead of actually being tragic when you could leave life right now. This isn't about being morbid or obsessing over death. It's about using mortality as a clarifying lens. When you realize you could leave life at any moment, suddenly what matters becomes crystal clear, and what doesn't matter, that becomes equally clear. So let's break down how to actually use this question, because knowing it intellectually means nothing. Applying it changes music everything. First application. Let this question determine what you do. Look at application 1. Let this question determine what you do. Homework. The brutal audit of your final day. Your actual schedule, not what you claim to value. Music, not your intentions. Your actual time allocation over the past week. How much time did you spend on things that genuinely matter to you? How much time disappeared into mindless scrolling, music, pointless consumption, activities you don't even enjoy but do out of habit? If you could leave life right, music now, would you be proud of how you spent today, this week, this month? Seneca was brutal on this point. People are frugal in guarding their personal property. But as soon as it comes to squandering time, music, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. You protect your money, you protect your possessions, but you hemorrhage time like it's infinite, spending hours on things that don't matter with people who drain you in service of goals you don't actually care about. Why? Because facing what you actually want to do with your life is music terrifying. It requires change. It requires risk. It requires admitting that the path you're on might be completely wrong. So instead, you stay busy. Music. You stay distracted. You convince yourself that someday when things calm down, when circumstances are right, you'll start living intentionally. Marcus Aurelius addressed this delusion directly, not to feel exasperated or defeated or despondent, because your days aren't packed with wise and moral actions, but to get back up when you fail, to celebrate behaving like a human, however imperfectly, music and fully embrace the pursuit that you've embarked on. Translation, you're going to waste time. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to spend days on that's human. The question is whether you recognize it and correct course, or whether you just accept waste as your baseline. Here's your homework right now today. Write down everything you did yesterday every hour. Then ask honestly, if I had died last night, would I be satisfied with how I spent my final day? If the answer is no, what are you going to do about today? Because you might not get another chance to answer differently. Second application, let this question determine what you say. Most of what comes out of application 2. Let this question determine what you say. The test of genuine communication. People's mouths is noise. Music, complaints, gossip, pointless opinions about things that don't matter, judgments of others, rehearsed stories about the past, anxious speculation about the future. Very little of it is genuine. Almost none of it is necessary. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But look at your actual ratio. How much of your communication is listening versus performing? How much is genuine versus filling silence? If you could leave life right now, what would you regret not saying? And what would you regret wasting time saying? I guarantee there's someone you haven't told, you love them, haven't thanked, haven't apologized to, haven't been honest with. Meanwhile, you've spent hours discussing politics with people who won't change their minds, gossiping about people who aren't present, complaining about problems you won't solve. That's insane. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. He had infinite opportunities to speak, to pontificate, to make pronouncements. Instead, his private writings are filled with reminders to shut up more. Be silent for the most part, or if you speak, say only what is necessary and in a few words. Why? Because most speech is waste. It dissipates your energy, creates unnecessary conflicts, and fills time that could be spent on what actually matters. Here's the test. Before you speak today, ask yourself, if I died after saying this, would these be words I'm proud of? Not every conversation needs to be profound, but every conversation should at least not be toxic, destructive, or pointless. Tell people what they need to hear from you. Express gratitude. Speak truth even when it's uncomfortable. Say the things you'll regret not saying. Stop saying everything else. The world has enough noise. It needs more silence and more truth. You can provide both. The question is, will you keep filling the air with words that won't matter a week from now, let alone when you're facing your mortality? Third application, and this is the deepest one, Application 3, let this question determine what you think. The ego dodge, why you shouldn't blow up your life. Question determine what you think. Your thoughts create your reality. Not in some mystical manifestation sense, in the simple sense that what you consistently think about shapes your decisions, which shape your actions, which shape your life. Most people's thoughts are completely undisciplined, reactive, anxious, resentful, comparing, judging, fantasizing about different circumstances while doing nothing to create them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what's the quality of yours? Be honest. What percentage of your mental energy goes to worrying about things outside your control? Replaying past events you can't change. Imagining future scenarios that probably won't happen. Judging others for choices that don't affect you. Feeling sorry for yourself. Envying what others have versus gratitude for what you currently have. Music. Planning actions you can actually take. Appreciating the present moment. improving your own character, contributing to others. If you could leave life right now, music, would you be satisfied with what occupied your mind today, or would you realize you wasted your consciousness on mental garbage? Seneca identified the pattern. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Your actual circumstances are usually manageable. It's your thoughts about your circumstances that create suffering. Job stress, usually thoughts about the job, not the actual tasks. Relationship anxiety, usually thoughts about the relationship, not what's actually happening. Music, financial worry, usually thoughts about money, not actual present moment lack. The Stoics practiced redirecting thought constantly. When a destructive thought pattern started, they intervened. They asked, is this thought useful? Is it true? Does it serve who I want to be? If no, they let it go. Not suppressed, let go, acknowledged and released, rather than followed down the rabbit hole. Try this today. Set a timer for every hour. When it goes off, notice what you were just thinking about. Write it down. At the end of the day, look at the list. If you had died today, would you be proud of where your mind spent its energy, or would you be horrified at how much consciousness you wasted on thoughts that don't matter? Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. Are you using it, or is it using you? Now, here's where this gets really uncomfortable. Most people who hear this question, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Immediately start thinking about big changes, quitting their job, ending relationships, moving to another country, grand gestures. That's ego dodging the real work. Because the question isn't asking you to blow up your life. It's asking you to be fully present in the life you have, to stop half-assing everything, to stop being physically present but mentally absent, to stop going through motions while waiting for real life to start. Epictetus was clear. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not someday, now, music, in your current circumstances, with your current resources. The person wasting their life isn't necessarily the one with music, the wrong job, or wrong city, or wrong relationship. It's the person who's not fully engaged with whatever they're doing, who's always somewhere else mentally, who's perpetually waiting for the weekend, waiting for the promotion, waiting for retirement, waiting for the kids to grow up, waiting for circumstances to be perfect before they start actually living. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire while dealing with plague, war, betrayal, and personal tragedy. His life was objectively harder than yours, yet he found time to write profound music philosophy, to be present with his family, to contemplate what mattered. Not because he had more time, because he valued time differently, because he asked himself daily whether he was wasting the life he had or using it. You have that same choice right now, today. Music. The question isn't whether your circumstances are ideal. They never will be. The question is whether you're showing up fully to the circumstances. You have. Are you present with the people in your life or scrolling while they talk? Are you engaged with your work or counting hours until you can leave? Are you appreciating this moment or racing toward the next one? Because if you could leave life right now, none of those future moments you're racing toward would matter. What would matter is whether you were actually alive for the moments you had. Stop waiting. Start living. Not later. Now. Okay, enough philosophy. Let's get practical. Music. Practical steps. How to stop wasting your life today. How do you actually use this question to stop wasting your life? First, make it visible. Marcus Aurelius kept his philosophical reminders where he'd see them constantly. Music. You need to do the same. Write the question somewhere. You'll see it every morning. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Phone, wallpaper, bathroom mirror, computer desktop, music journal, wherever your eyes go first thing in the morning. Why? Because the power of this question isn't in reading it once and feeling inspired. It's in confronting it daily until it rewires how you make decisions. Second, do the death music meditation. This is an actual Stoic practice, not the death meditation, Stoic practice, some morbid obsession. Once a week, spend 5 minutes visualizing your death. Not in a traumatic way. Calmly, music. Imagine it's your last day. What would you regret not doing, not saying, not experiencing, not becoming? Write those things down. Then look at your schedule for this week. How much time are you allocating to those priorities versus to distractions and obligations that don't actually matter? Adjust accordingly. Third, practice memento mori with decisions. Latin for remember you will die. When facing a choice, how to spend your evening, how to respond to someone, whether to pursue an opportunity, ask music. What would I choose if this were my last week alive? Not every decision needs to be dramatic, but every decision should be conscious. The Stoics weren't advocating recklessness, they were advocating intentionality. Fourth, do the evening review. Marcus Aurelius ended each day by music, reflecting on what he'd done, said, and thought. He asked himself, did I waste today? Did I show up as the person I want to be? Where did I fail? Where did I succeed? What will I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about perfectionism. It's about awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Spend 5 minutes before bed reviewing your day through the lens of music mortality. If you had died tonight, would you be satisfied with how you lived music today? If yes, celebrate that and try to repeat it. If no, music identify specifically what you do differently and commit to that tomorrow. Fifth, and most important, act immediately on what you discover. Insights without action are just comfortable lies. If you realize you need to have a difficult conversation, have it this week. If you realize you're wasting time on something that doesn't matter, stop this week. If you realize you haven't pursued something important, music, start this week. Seneca warned, while we wait for life, life passes. Stop waiting. Start living today. Let's bring this home. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you, the final call. Stop waiting. Start living. Do and say and think. This isn't a question to make you anxious or depressed. It's a question to make you alive fully, completely urgently alive to the fact that music time is limited and how you use it matters. Most people live like they have infinite music time. They waste years on work. They hate relationships that drain them, activities that mean nothing. They postpone joy. They delay difficult conversations. They wait for perfect conditions that never arrive. Music. Then suddenly they're old, looking back on a life they didn't actually live. Music, a life spent preparing for living, a life on autopilot. Music, a life of quiet desperation disguised as responsibility. Don't let that be music you. Marcus Aurelius knew he could die at any moment. Assassination, plague, music, battle. That knowledge didn't paralyze him. It focused him, made him present, made him deliberate about every choice. You have that same knowledge if you're willing to face it. You could leave life right now, not probably, music, not eventually, right now. What does that mean for today, this music hour, this moment? It means stop scrolling and call someone you love. Stop complaining and take action on what you can change. Stop waiting and start the thing you've been postponing. Stop performing and start being genuine. Stop drifting and start steering. Epictetus put it simply, don't explain your philosophy. Embody, music it. Don't just read this and feel inspired for 10 minutes before returning to the same patterns. Embody it. Let this question actually change what you do, say, and think. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to face. You are wasting your life right now. If you're not asking this question regularly, not might be. Our every day you spend unconsciously is a day you can never recover. Every conversation you waste on gossip is a conversation you could have spent on truth. Every hour you give to distraction is an hour stolen from what matters. You don't get those back ever. So ask yourself right now, honestly, if you could leave life right now, would you be satisfied with how you've spent today? If not, what are you going to do about the rest of today, tomorrow, this week? Don't wait. Don't plan. Do. The Stoic question has revealed whether you're wasting your life. The only question left is what are you going to do about it? If this forced you to confront something uncomfortable, good. Leave a comment sharing what you're going to change starting today. Until next time, remember Marcus Aurelius, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Stop wasting it.